Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Israel Michael, and I am here again from LogTech for this 5 week online bootcamp training. And we are currently on the cyber security and ethical hacking series. And today is the fifth episode of this series. We began since Monday. On Monday, we learned about cyber security essentials. And also on Tuesday, we learned about how to set up a hacking lab. On Wednesday, we learned about phishing attacks. Yesterday, being Thursday, we learned about network attacks part one. And today, we are heading over to network attacks part two. So today's discussion is focused on network attacks part two. So what are we achieving here today? Today, we are going to achieve how to carry out a network attack on a wireless device, something like a router. Now we are going to see how to crack the password of a Wi-Fi network. We can break into a network. Like I told us yesterday, that a network, when you have several devices that are plugged in together, that group of machines or group of computers is what we call a network. Right now, we're going to learn how to crack through those networks. So I want you to stay put as we begin. So if you have any question from yesterday, you can please do well to table your questions, and I'll be very glad to answer them. All right. So in this training, we are going over to my screen, and I'm over to my Kali Linux machine. So right now I'm at my Kali Linux machine, and I have taught us about what Kali is. Kali Linux is a machine where we can carry out our ethical hacking skills. Okay, so it's a machine for hackers. All right. So in this case, the first thing we did yesterday, we learned how to set up our network adapter. So just a moment, I have mine already plugged in, but I'm going to disconnect it. And for the sake of benefit of doubt, I'm going to reconnect my Wi-Fi adapter one more time. Okay. So quickly, let's get into business. Okay. So right now, um, I'm unplugging my Wi-Fi adapter, and I'm going to reconnect this machine again. So right now I'm connecting the adapter back into the laptop, and we learned how to set the adapter to now appear in our Kali Linux. So once you plug in the adapter into your laptop, the next thing you have to do is come to your Kali Linux machine, and then you come over to the menu bar to your top left, and you click on the devices button. This button over here called devices. You click on it, and you will see the button called USB. And under USB, look for Atheros, like a checkbox called Atheros USB 9, UB93. Okay, so check that box, and once you do so, the interface, this adapter is now connected into your Kali. All right. So the next thing now is to confirm if we have that connection by simply typing IF. So let me zoom in my screen so that everything can be very clear for everyone to see. So IF config, hit enter. Okay, so my adapter is not yet connected. So I'll go back again to devices, because now how do I know that it's not yet connected? If you look over here, we can see Docker 0, we can see F0, but we cannot see my WLAN 0 yet. So I'm going to reconnect again. All I have to do one more time, go to devices, go to USB, maybe uncheck this guy to disconnect, plug out, okay? Just plug out, and then I will ensure that my adapter is well fitted in. Then I will reconnect again. In case maybe one time you try you putting this in this thing and then you're having issues, you can always troubleshoot it this way. So I've plugged back my adapter into my Kali Linux machine right now. The next thing I'm going to do is click on devices. Once again, network. USB. And under USB, you click on Atheros UB93. So Atheros UB93, just a moment. And I'm having an error here. Okay, let me see what the problem could be. Okay, I'll try it again. Devices, USB, uncheck, and I'll recheck it again to see that I have a connectivity now. Okay, so I think I have to restart my Kali machine entirely. So sometimes these things, they do happen. So I'll just simply say reboot. Now reboot is a Linux machine that is used to restart your Kali Linux. So simply type reboot, hit enter, and my Kali Linux is going to restart at the moment. So right now it is restarting. Okay, so my card is coming back up. Okay, so while it's coming up, like I said, there are several things we're going to do today. First of all, we have to understand what a word list is. Okay, because when it comes to carrying out a network attack in terms of cracking passwords, you need to understand what a word list is. The question now is, what is a word list? Now, a word list is simply a file, and this file contains possible passwords, possible phrases that you can bring together to test run and to carry out your Wi-Fi cracking. And in this Wi-Fi cracking, we'll be carrying out an attack, and that attack is called a brute force attack, or you can say a dictionary attack. All right. So in this case, we are going to be carrying out a dictionary attack. We need just our network adapter, and then there are several word lists out there on the internet. I mean, files containing leaked passwords over time. But in your Kali Linux, you can try one of them today. It's a very robust default word list in your Kali that contains several default passwords, and we can see how to use that one in our Kali today to hack the Wi-Fi. So going on, I'm going to reconnect my adapter again to my Kali Linux, and once I've done that, I'll go to device one more time, go to USB and check Atheros. Okay. And once I've done that, I'll simply open up my command line. And at the moment, if I say if, just a moment, let me zoom this in. If I say if config, enter, now we can see my WLAN 0 has come up. Okay, so sometimes when you plug in these things, their hardware, sometimes they can have some glitches. Just maybe a simple restart can help you fix those problems. So we learned about this our adapter. We learned about how to make this our adapter to become on a monitor mode. So right now we are going to push this adapter from manage mode to monitor mode. How do you check the mode of your adapter? IW config, like we said in our last class. Anyways, you can always go back to the video. And that reminds me, if you're just following us for the first time, please, I want you to go to YouTube, go to Facebook, go to Instagram, and please like, follow us. And if you have somebody out there that you really want the person to know about what is going on, please do well to share the link. Just share the post, share the Facebook live video, share the Instagram live video, share this YouTube link to anybody across. Get somebody to come and watch this. What I'm showing you is a breakthrough when it comes to ethical hacking. You're going to love this a whole lot. You are going to learn how to even disconnect people from their Wi-Fi. That's wonderful. So please do well to just follow us and also share the link as I'm speaking now. Hit on the share button, hit on the subscribe button, hit on the follow button, and we are going to have some fun together. Now, also, in case you missed the other classes, maybe today is your first time, or you can always come to our YouTube channel and you can check out our videos. And we've begun this thing since early this month, since the first week of November, and we had several other courses we have done as well. We did digital marketing, we did data analysis, and also we did advanced Excel, and we did UI UX. Okay, so in this case today, we are doing cybersecurity. All right, so I want you guys to, maybe in case you miss something anywhere, you can always have something to fall back to. Okay, that's fine now. So the next I'm going to do is to check the mode of this my Wi-Fi adapter. IW config, hit enter, and the moment I hit enter, you can see that my adapter currently is on a mode, and the mode is called managed mode. Now, this managed mode cannot carry out the hacking for us. So we have to configure this adapter to become a hacking device to now be able to see the available networks within our region, okay, within my radius. All right, so right now I'm going to say sudo airmon -ng, and before I do any other thing, I must say check kill, like I showed us yesterday night. Sudo airmon -ng, check kill is a command that stops whatever process that might interfere with this your adapter. Okay, this is an external network interface, and there are several network processes in your computer that may want to interfere with this external guy. Okay, so our job first of all is to kill those computer processes first of all before they can interrupt this guy's functionality. So I'll simply say sudo mon-ng check kill, and anything that might interfere with our hacking tonight, this command is going to kill it. I will hit enter and of course put in my login, and I'll say, okay, my login is so and so, and it's going to kill the process. So right now it's killed just one thing called the WPA supplicant. Okay, so it has killed a network process at the moment that may be interrupting with this interface. So the next thing now we're going to do is, let me clear my screen first of all. Now the next command is to set this adapter to become a monitoring tool. Okay, so I'll simply say sudo sudo arrow dump, please. Sudo arrow dump. I meant sudo mon, please. So sudo mon-ng, and I will call in my interface name WLAN0. Hit enter, and at the moment, okay, so sudo mon-ng starts, pardon me, WLAN0, enter. So in our last class, we learned this, how to turn on the interface. So sudo mon-ng start WLAN0, hit enter, and automatically you can see that our adapter is now on the monitor mode. If I say iwconfig again, you will see that the interface is no more on the manage mode, is now on the monitor mode. So now we are set to carry out our hacking exercise. So I will clear my screen with the command clear so that we can have a clean slate. So the next thing now is to scan my network. The command is sudo arrow dump -ng, and I'll simply call in my interface name. Now use WLAN0mon, enter, and at the moment my environment is being scanned, and these are the available networks within my region. Okay, within the reach of this my adapter. I have app station 2, I have app lock 1, I have Techno Camon 18i, and I have MTN 4G underscore 6E193F 2.4 GHz. Okay, so at this point we are going to pick a target. So let's assume that we are attacking a company, for example, and their network's name, maybe let's say it's Techno Camon 18i. Okay, let's say Techno Camon 18i is the network we want to attack. So I will just simply pick out a particular network among these guys, and I'm going to crack that network. So right now I'll be cracking Techno Camon 18i. All I will have to do, of course, is first of all Control C. Okay, so I will clear my screen, or I can just say, let's do this instead. I'll say sudo arrow dump -ng. Now, if you look carefully at this information over here, first of all, before I go on and get ahead of myself, let me explain some of these things here so that you can understand what we are doing. The first thing first I want you to capture is we have some columns here. We have a column here called BSSID. We have PWR, we have beacon, we have data, we have CH, we have NB, we have ENC for encryption, we have cipher, we have auth for authentication, and we have ESSID. So I'm going to explain a few things because of time, and I will explain BSSID. I would explain ESSID. Okay, so right now, what is BSSID? BSSID refers to the MAC address of the router I want to attack. Remember, in our last class, we mentioned MAC address, that every network device has a MAC address that identifies that device. So right now, in this case, The term BSSID refers to the MAC address of the router. For example, we have a router here called Techno Camon 18i. Okay, but if you look over here, this Techno Camon 18i, this is the MAC address of the Techno device, the Techno router. Okay, 2625416462D6. So this is the MAC address of this device. So we have captured the MAC address of a router. That information alone is very powerful and enough for us to carry out what we want to do. Okay, so we know the MAC address of the device, and this ESSID refers to the Wi-Fi name, okay, of the router in question. So ESSID refers to the router name, while BSSID refers to the MAC address. Okay, so going on, all I will have to do is very, very simple. All I'll have to do is simply say sudo aerodump, this time -ng. Then now I want to, focus my attack on Techno Camon 18i. But while focusing my scan on network Camon 18i, I would have to write down my scan, because when you say sudo aerodump, it simply means you are scanning a network, okay? And you are gathering information about a network. When I said sudo aerodump -ng wulan 0mon, it gave me information about the networks within my reach. And as you can see, this entire stuff here are the info about the networks within my reach. I can see their MAC addresses, I can see their names as well. So I know who and who is within my reach at the moment. Okay, but now this information, I want it to be saved into a file so that I can analyze it and know what I am going to do. So I'll simply say sudo aerodump -w, all right, space. Then I will call, now what is -w? -w simply means write. So now I'm saying that, okay, I want aerodump to do a scan, but that scan should be written into a file so that I can always open the file and read the scan. Okay, so sudo aerodump -ng space -w for write. Then I will call up the name of the file I want aerodump to save my scan into. I would simply say, let's use, maybe for example, let's use hack or hacking. Okay, so hacking is the name of the file I want aerodump to save the scan into. Space. The next thing I would say is --BSSID. Now, --BSSID simply means I want to call up the MAC address of the device in question. So in this case, which router am I focusing on? To call that router, I have to call it by its MAC address. So I have to trace, okay, Techno Camon 18i, what is its MAC address? In this case, its MAC address is this info over here. So I'll simply highlight this, right click on copy selection, like copying the output there. So I'll come over here, give a little space, and then I'm going to paste this guy over here. Okay, so --BSSID space, you paste the MAC address of the target you want to focus your scan on. Okay, so now we have our target's MAC address here. Now the next thing in this attack, if you look carefully, we have CH. CH simply means channel. So Techno Camon 18i is on which network channel? As you can see, is on network channel 1. So I would simply say -C space 1. So -C means channel. -W means write. --BSSID means MAC address. -C means channel number. Then space, then I'm going to call up the interface, the name of the interface I am using to carry out this activity. In this case, the interface's name is WLAN 0mon. Okay, my external adapter. And once I hit enter, automatically it begins to focus its scan on my guy over here. Okay, so right now you can see Tecno Camon 18i is on. We can look over here and we can see we have two persons that are connected. If you look over here, you can see BSSID, you can see station, you can see power, rate, lost, frames, nodes, and probes. Now, why am I scanning or why am I focusing on Tecno Camon 18i? There is one thing I want to get. I want to get the password that can give me access to this network. Okay, but you see that password, I'm the attacker at this moment. I don't have the password to this router, but you see the devices that are connected to this router, they have the password that I'm looking for. So they are going to be the people I'm going to use to get the password. Now, what do I have to do? Number one, I just need to capture the password. But you see, that password is contained in a communication, and it is called a handshake, a network handshake. Now, let me explain what is a network handshake. A network handshake is that computer interaction between a client computer and maybe a server device, okay? Meaning between a router and a normal computer. Now, you know, when you go to your Wi-Fi, you open it up, you look for available Wi-Fis, you pick the one that you want, and then you put in the password. And when you put in that password, you see that it shows you authenticating, connecting. Now, that moment of authenticating and connecting, there is a handshake going on between your device and the router. Okay, so your device and the router are communicating. Your router is telling your computer is telling the router that, see your password, I want to come in, I'm a verified user. And then the router says, okay, I can see the key, it's accurate, you can now come in. Now that is called a handshake. That interaction is a handshake. Well, you see, that interaction contains the password that we need. So right now, we need to capture that handshake. That means I need to capture a connection between a computer or any device and this router. So to achieve that, I have to log out one of these guys for a little moment. And when that device tries to reconnect to this router, that reconnection time, I'm going to capture what happens in that reconnection. Now, in that handshake, that reconnection handshake contains the password I am looking for. So, how do we achieve this? Very, very simple. Now, I'm going to duplicate my screen because right now I need a handshake. And the handshake I'm looking for, when I have it or when my arrow dump, my machine has captured the handshake, okay, it's going to show me over here, okay, that a handshake has been gotten. So right now, if you look over here, here is empty, it's blank. But when a handshake has been captured, I will get the notification that a handshake has been captured, and then we will know what to do from there. So now let's learn how to disconnect a user to a network. All I will have to do is very simple: duplicate my screen. So I will duplicate my screen horizontally, meaning I'm going to divide my screen horizontally. So if I do this now, I have two screens on one screen. Okay, so I have one screen over here that is actually seeing what is going on. Okay, then I have another screen over here right now. So I'm going to say, all right, I want to disconnect one person here. Okay, so just pay close attention. So I'm going to maximize this guy instead, and I will drag this up a little bit so that we can all have a clear picture. Okay, so just a moment. So now you can see we have, now if you look over here, we have BSSID. What is BSSID? Don't forget, BSSID refers to the MAC address of the router. But now we have a new field here, or a new column here, called station. So station here talks about the MAC addresses of the devices that are connected to the router. So I can see the router's MAC address, and also I can see the devices that are connected to this router. So that means an attacker can scan a network and see everybody that is connected to a network and then choose to focus on anybody. So right now, I'm not going to choose to maybe just this first guy randomly. So this guy, 3478D7D2BF46 is connected to the Techno Camon 18i router. So what do I have to do? Very, very simple. Come over here, and then I'll say sudo. This time, there's a command that can de-authenticate. The command is sudo air replay, okay? Air replay -ng, then I'll say space, then I'll say --de-auth. De-auth simply means de-authenticate, disconnect, remove. So I'll say, okay, sudo air replay, I want you to de-authenticate somebody. But now, de-authenticate somebody for how long? If I say space 0, there'll be a problem. Space 0 simply means infinity. That means just keep the person disconnected. But if I say, let's say space 100, it means disconnect the person for 100 seconds. And you can do the math. 100 seconds is 1 minute and some seconds. Since 60 seconds makes 1 minute, then you can add the remaining. Okay, so 100 seconds simply means a minute and some seconds. So for a minute and some seconds, I'm going to disconnect somebody from this device. So I will say sudo air replay -ng de-authenticate using 100 seconds. Now I'll give space, then I'll say -a. What does -a means? -a simply means access point, meaning the router that the people are connected to. So -a space, and I will call the MAC address of the Techno Camon 18i router. So I will paste its IP there. Then now space, I will say -c, which means the person that is connected to this router. -c means client. So sudo air replay -ng space --de-auth space 100 seconds now, then space -a. -a means the router, and then I'll call the router's MAC address, which is what you can see over here. Okay, then I will say -c, calling the MAC address of the device I want to de-authenticate. So I will give space, then now I will call the MAC of the device I want to de-authenticate. So I will call one of these guys over here that you can see. Let's say maybe let's use this first guy over here, 347. So I will say 34:78 D7 D2 let's say BF and 46. Okay, so this is the MAC address of the client I want to disconnect. Then the next thing I will do, I will call up the interface that I'm using to carry out this task, which is WLAN 0mon, my external adapter. So sudo air replay -ng space --de-auth, meaning de-authenticate, disconnect. For how long? For 100 seconds. Which device? I call the device that I am disconnecting people from. Then which particular person do you want to disconnect from this device? I called its MAC address as well, and I will call the interface I'll be using to carry out this attack. So it is simply called de-authentication attack. This kind of stuff is called what? De-authentication attack. So I will simply hit enter and put in my password. And right now it is de-authenticating the guy. So when we have the de-authentication, so as you can see, watch over here, look over here, we now have a capture. WPA handshake. So we now have a handshake. Why? Because we have disconnected a device. Are we together? And that device now has tried to want to reconnect again. And while it was trying to reconnect, the handshake that contains the password, that communication where you identify who you are, put in the password, has not been captured. So right now I have captured the handshake between the device and the router, okay? And now we are going to crack that handshake. So I'm going to Control C this to stop. I've gotten what I want. Okay, also over here, Control C, and I'll simply clear. Okay, so if you look over here, let me close this. If you look over here, you can see that we now have a handshake, okay, WPA handshake, and we can see the MAC address of our router. So this is the handshake that contains what we need. So right now, if I say ls in here, or let me just clear my screen for a fresh start. So I'm going to zoom a little bit. Then I'll say ls, enter. Then if you look, we made a file called hacking, right? So the file called hacking, we are going to open that file, hacking-0.cap. Remember, we ran a command there that said sudo -ng-w hacking, okay? So we have that file here, hacking, okay, that's 01.cap, all right? So over here, I'm going to use a powerful tool called Wireshark. Now, Wireshark is a packet analysis tool. It's a tool that analyzes what travels in the network, okay? Anyways, that is a very powerful tool that you can learn more at LogTech, okay? If you can apply for the full cybersecurity course, you will be trained very well on how to analyze what travels in the network. I mean, you can actually see what is traveling in a network with Wireshark. So I would say Wireshark space. Then I'm going to call up the file name being hacking.cap, okay? And I will hit enter. And at the moment, Wireshark being an application inside my Kali is opening up. And these are the packets over here, okay? So right now I'm looking for a particular kind of file, and it's called an EAPOL file. Now, EAPOL packets, once I type in EAPOL, EAPOL on this search bar over here and I hit enter, it filters all those handshake and only shows me packets in those hands that are called EAPOL, okay? EAPOL packets. Now, EAPOL packets are packets that contains password handshakes. So right now, if I look for the info over here, under info over here, you can see message 404. That means there was a communication between the router and the device that wanted to connect to it. As you can see, we had message 104, message 204, message 304, and message 404. Okay, the 104 is more like trying to make a request. Okay, and then the router responds, and then the end device again puts in the password, and then the router confirms and grants access. So it's called the four-way handshake. The four-way handshake is that your phone, or for example your laptop, maybe you're in a company, maybe you are at home using a Wi-Fi network. When you go to your Wi-Fi and you want to connect to a network, your device makes a request to that router first. Then that request responds like, hello, hi, I want to connect. So your machine says hello, the router says hi, then your machine now puts in the password, and then the router acknowledges the password and then grants access. So it's called four-way handshake. So if I click on message 404, the last handshake, and come over here and open up this drop down button that says authentication, if I click on it, we can see that the key, the password is supposed to be here, but right now the password itself, WPA key MIC, the password is encrypted. That is a problem. We can see the password of the Wi-Fi, but the password of the Wi-Fi is encrypted. If you come over here, you can see what I mean. How do you explain this? If you click on this guy, you can see some funny numbers and some wonderful things over here. As a human being, you cannot really understand what is going on here, okay? So we need to break this thing. We need to convert it into a plain text so that we can now see the password plainly. How do we achieve that? Very, very simple. I'm going to close my Wireshark, and like I said, we are going to be using a word list, a dictionary, like I mentioned. What is a word list? A word list is simply a file that contains, several possible passwords inside. So right now, I'm going to call up a word list, and there's a command to look for word lists. The command is simply locate. I can say locate space word list. Okay, hit enter, and it shows us several words that are there by default in your Kali. Now, for sake of time, we are going to be using a word list called rocku.txt. So rocku.txt is our word list for this case study. That means our file that we are going to be using to crack our Wi-Fi. So very, very simple. What is the command then to use this word list? Very, very simple. So I'm going to clear my screen. Get ready for the action now. It's coming up. So sudo, the command is sudo aircrack -ng. I love this name, sudo aircrack, to crack the air. That's a lovely name. So sudo aircrack. Then I will call up the name of the file that contains the encrypted password, which is hack. Okay, hack .cap. Okay, hacking-01.cap. So right now, this is the file that contains the encrypted password. Now I will give space, then I will say -w, which means word list. Okay, so I'm going to be comparing this encrypted file against the word list. And now this aircraft, we keep doing the mathematics until it finds a match for this encrypted file, and that match is the password of this Techno-Camon 18i router. So -w space, and I'll say /usr, the path that will take me to word list, /usr/share /word list, then I think word list, then /rocku. Like I said, we're going to be using rocku.txt. Okay, so once I hit enter, I'm telling you, it will do this thing in a couple of seconds. Like sometimes it can take up to like, let's say 3 seconds. So once I hit enter, it is going to start, scanning until it finds the match. So once I hit enter right now, watch this. Ready, 1 to go. Hit enter, and boom, I'll put in my password. And right now, it has found the key. It was so fast. It says key found. And what's the password? 1Q, 2W, 3E, 4R. This is the password to the Wi-Fi network. Hacking is not as difficult as you think if you are in the right place with the right instructor. And I'm telling you, at LogTech, we break things. We break things anyhow. So I'm telling you right now that you can see that to break a Wi-Fi is very, very simple. I'm telling you, it is very, very simple. So right now, we have cracked the Wi-Fi. It's as simple as that. Key found 1Q, 2W, 3E, 4R. And at the moment, we are going to go on a small break, and I'll be back to conclude this class. Okay, so stay tuned. We are going on a short break. I'll be right back. Welcome back. It was a wonderful time with this class. We learned today how to crack Wi-Fi passwords. Do you want to furthermore? Do you want to become better? I'm telling you, hacking is cool. I feel so cool knowing that I can crack Wi-Fi passwords. Believe me, like It's really cool. But by the way, like I said, I'm teaching us ethical hacking. Okay, so don't try this without permission. Now, before I let you go, please, I want to remind you to please like, follow us, and subscribe on our channels, particularly our YouTube channel. Please help us to follow, to subscribe, to like, drop a comment. Thank you very much for connecting. Also, I have a good news for you. Next year, being January, from the 20th, we'll be having another bootcamp training like this on cybersecurity and even web development. And I believe I'll be coming your way again. So stay tuned. And if you want to be a part of that class, please do well now to start registering, like liking and following us and subscribing, so that once the class comes up, you have your updates. So I want to say thank you very, very much for connecting with us tonight. And I look forward to coming your way again. Don't forget, this training came from LogTech IT Training, the only LogTech IT training in the world. Do it to follow us. You can do it to come around and even register for a course. Thank you, and do have a blessed evening. See you.